Hello and welcome to Ukraine Today's press review. I'm Rahim Rahimtullah. In today's program, we'll delve into what the international media are saying about the debt crisis in Greece and the country's increasingly fraught negotiations with its creditors, the EU and the IMF. We begin with The Guardian, which sets the scene for us. It writes, almost 5 months after he assumed power, the Greek Prime Minister, Alexis Tsipras, has come to a fork in the road. Either he accepts the painful terms of a cash-for-reform deal that ensures Greece's place in the single currency, or he decides to go it alone. Either way, the endgame is upon him. So, after a week of late-night talks which resulted in the IMF walking out of negotiations, are we any closer to a deal? Perhaps not, says The Guardian, which describes events as becoming ever more antagonistic. It says the drama of Greece's battle to keep bankruptcy at bay has, with the ticking of the clock, become ever darker in tone. What started out as good-tempered brinkmanship has turned increasingly sour as negotiations have repeatedly hit a wall over Athens' failure to produce persuasive reforms. In the Huffington Post, meanwhile, former US Ambassador Daniel Speckard says the problem is that politics has trumped economics. He writes, right now it's the politics, not the economics, which are driving the outcome. In Athens, the radical left government is in an impossible situation. Greeks overwhelmingly want to stay in the Eurozone, but reject any further austerity program lorded over them by creditors. Ultimately, though, Speckard is optimistic and believes that Greece and its creditors will reach terms. He says Greece and the Eurozone will find a way through this latest trouble. A Greek exit would create a nightmare for Greeks. Crossing the threshold of a euro exit could also threaten the economic stability of other financially stressed European countries. Both sides have an interest in avoiding a Greek exit, so odds are they will find a compromise. Simon Nixon, meanwhile, writing for The Wall Street Journal, says now is a good time for Greece to be making reforms as demanded by creditors. But somehow he thinks it isn't going to happen. Politics, again, gets in the way. He writes, sound arguments are unlikely to be enough to push Eurozone governments into action, particularly in an increasingly polarized European political environment where every structural reform is inevitably attacked as austerity. If Greece can't be persuaded to undertake reforms even when facing economic calamity, what chance the other Eurozone governments will take tough choices? So our commentators today come out on different sides of the argument. Some are more certain than others that Greece will eventually find a compromise with the EU and IMF and therefore avoid leaving the Eurozone. But all agree that whatever the ultimate outcome, the problem seems to be that politics is getting in the way of economics. That wraps up our program for today. Join us again for another press review tomorrow. In Kiev, this is Ukraine Today.